The things they buy for all that money, your life for a period of time.
Yeah, I'm kind of blacklisted. I haven't gotten a studio job in 15 years.
So you feel in a way that you are banned from the...
No, not in a way.
You are?
Yeah, I think.
I didn't have a chance to defend myself.
Right, yeah.
So the hardest part was calling friends and people that
It's
I worked with.
embarrassing, isn't it?
I have an answer for us. It's been a while.
Every week, and some weeks are better than others, but I am steadily improving. So yes, of course, I intend to work until I'm 152. I want to play the oldest man on earth.
Welcome back to Juicy Pulse, your daily dose of scandal and glamour. Let's spill the tea on today's biggest celebrity stories, from Hollywood kingpin to forgotten DVD bargain bin. Val Kilmer's journey was wild. We're talking blockbuster fame, shocking health battles, and whispers of a blacklist that might have crushed his career for over 15 years. Now that he's tragically passed at 65, people aren't just mourning the Iceman, they're demanding answers. What really went down with Val Kilmer? Because the way his career spiraled, it doesn't add up. The timeline's just way too strange to brush off. Did Hollywood shut him out? Or did Val stumble into something he wasn't supposed to know? Let's roll it back to the 80s and early 90s, when Val Kilmer wasn't just in the movies. He was the movies. That smirk, that range, that face. Directors were basically throwing scripts at him. Trained at Juilliard, Val had this deep, dramatic fire that screamed star power the second he walked in a room. And he delivered. Big time. From Top Gun to Tombstone, The Doors to Batman Forever, Kilmer was on fire. But then, out of nowhere, things got messy. Kilmer was booked, busy, and cashing major checks. His performance as Jim Morrison was so on point, folks legit thought he was Morrison, like he brought the rock legend back to life. Then he slipped into the iconic batsuit and entered a rare Hollywood circle that most actors would sell their souls to join. But suddenly, everything flipped. Fast. By the late 90s, around 1999, Kilmer vanished from the A-list radar. One day, he's topping the box office. Next thing you know, straight to DVD flicks with zero hype. No more red carpets, no more blockbuster buzz, just low-budget projects that barely made a splash. Industry insiders started talking, and not in a good way. Rumors flew about him being a nightmare on set. Hard to work with, clashing with directors, storming off scenes. Let's rewind to Batman Forever. Val didn't just play Batman, he devoured that role. Say whatever about the crazy timelines in the Batman franchise, but his take? Dark, intense, and just the right amount of unhinged. Fans ate it up. The movie crushed it at the box office, pulling in over $330 million worldwide in 1995. Total win, right? But when Batman and Robin dropped just 2 years later, Val was gone. No explanation, no sequel, no goodbye. They swapped him for George Clooney like it was nothing. And this was while Kilmer was still riding the wave of peak fame. Why wouldn't they bring Val back for a billion-dollar franchise? Unless something real messy went down behind the scenes. And messy might be putting it way too lightly. In a bombshell interview, director Joel Schumacher went off, and he did not hold back. He called Val psychotic, publicly. Like this wasn't some vague Hollywood shade. Schumacher dragged Kilmer like it was personal beef. He snapped, "I'm tired of defending overpaid, overprivileged actors," and even said he prayed to never work with Val again. He went further, claiming Val was rude, inappropriate, and straight-up bad news on set. Schumacher added that there was a whole 2-week stretch where Val didn't speak to him at all, and he called it bliss. But come on, since when has being difficult ever stopped Hollywood from casting someone? Especially if they're bringing in millions. Let's be real, tons of leading men have been total nightmares behind the scenes and still get award shows rolled out for them. That's why some fans started thinking this whole "he's hard to work with" angle was just a convenient cover-up. A quiet way to shove him out the picture. And here's where things take a turn. Kilmer himself claimed he was blacklisted, straight up. According to him, this wasn't about bad behavior. It was something deeper. Val Kilmer once admitted he wished he could go back and do everything differently. Why? He said it was because he spoke up. But spoke up about what exactly? That's where things get murky. In scattered interviews over the years, Kilmer dropped hints, like breadcrumbs, about something darker in Hollywood. He painted the industry as a place where you're expected to stay quiet, follow orders, and smile for the cameras. No talking back, no pushing buttons, no stepping out of line.
He said flat out, if you don't play by the rules, you don't work. And for him, that became the cold truth. After 1999, the phone stopped ringing. 15 years of silence. 15 years with barely a single big role. The same guy who shared scenes with legends like Tom Cruise and Al Pacino was now drifting in the background, almost invisible.
And speaking of Cruise, those two used to be tight. But when Kilmer slipped into Hollywood's shadows, Cruise just kept climbing, like nothing ever happened. Then, as if things couldn't get worse, Val's health took a brutal hit. In 2014, he was diagnosed with throat cancer. He kept it hush-hush for years, battling quietly while the industry looked the other way. Fans started noticing the scarves around his neck and that raspy, fading voice. But most had no clue how serious it really was, until Val Kilmer had to get a tracheotomy. It changed his voice forever. Every word after that surgery, a struggle. But even with all that pain, Val didn't back down. He refused to quit acting. He found roles that worked with his new voice. He started writing poetry. And then, he did something wild. He made a whole documentary about his life. And not just some throw-together project. This thing was packed with decades of home footage that he'd been filming obsessively for years. It was like he knew one day he'd have to tell his own truth, because nobody else would. And once that documentary, Val, dropped, people started talking again. This wasn't just some sad man looking back on his glory days. This was a guy who knew he'd been pushed out. A man who believed, fully, that he was blacklisted. And a lot of fans agree. Some even think he got targeted for one reason. He didn't play the game. He said no to the wrong people, and Hollywood made him pay. And here's where it gets real sketchy. Around the same time Val's career got derailed in the late 90s, other big-name actors suddenly disappeared from the A-list too. No warning, no scandal, just gone. Almost like someone was cleaning house. Mel Gibson, Wesley Snipes, a few others too. All actors who either spoke out, stirred things up, or, according to online whispers, refused to get their hands dirty with shady Hollywood elites. And now, some folks think Val Kilmer did the same, said no to the wrong thing, and paid the price with his whole career. Now check this. Wesley Snipes was owning the 90s. Box office gold. Then out of nowhere, he becomes the face of tax evasion and ends up doing time over something his accountant allegedly messed up. Not saying he's squeaky clean, but prison? Really? When celebs with way worse charges are still out here booking major roles? Yeah, something smells off. Then, in 2014, Expendables 3 drops. And what do we see? Stallone dragging Kilmer, Gibson, and Snipes back onto the big screen. Like he was dusting off the so-called washed-up troublemakers and giving them one last shot. But even then, they weren't the stars. They were villains or forgettable side characters. No top billing, no spotlight. And here's where things get spooky. There's a clip floating around from a 1998 interview with Mel Gibson. He was fresh off Braveheart, a career high, and he's sitting there, looking real reflective, almost haunted. Mel Gibson described it like this: walking into a saloon, and the whole room goes silent when the outsider walks in. Chills, right? And keep in mind, this was before his public meltdown era, before the headlines and the scandals. Back then, he wasn't canceled. He was seeing things most people didn't dare talk about. And now, when you rewind that moment, knowing everything that came after, The names, the lawsuits, the headlines. It doesn't sound crazy at all. It sounds like a warning we just didn't catch in time. Also, remember this. After Signs, the only big film Mel Gibson starred in that truly blew up was The Passion of the Christ. And guess what? He funded it himself. No studio wanted to back it. Too controversial, too risky, and yet it became one of the highest-grossing R-rated films ever. So no, he wasn't washed. He was blacklisted. Hollywood was done with him, not the other way around. Now here's where things get eerie. There's a theory floating around that Kilmer's career crash lines up exactly with another major Hollywood moment. Stanley Kubrick's final film, Eyes Wide Shut. Released in 1999, the same year Val Kilmer disappeared from the spotlight. And if you've seen it, then you already know. Secret societies, masks, ritual parties, silent power plays. That film wasn't just fiction. It felt like a coded message. And then Kubrick died before the final cut was released. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe that's a whole new rabbit hole waiting to be explored. But back to Val. You're telling me that the same year Kilmer vanished from the A-list, Tom Cruise starred in a film about secret elites doing unspeakable things behind locked doors? Everything wrapped in cryptic symbols and eerie vibes? Yeah, that timing's a little too perfect. And don't try to say Val didn't have the range. This is the man who was Batman. A masked figure lurking in the shadows, peeling back the layers of corruption hiding beneath the city's elite. And think about it. Kilmer's Batman? He was cold, distant, dead behind the eyes. The darkest one we'd seen. That performance hits different when you line it up next to Eyes Wide Shut. It's almost poetic and kinda chilling. Like his Batman mask was the PG-13 version of that other mask, the one Cruise wore in those hidden parties. A softer symbol for the same twisted truth. You wear the mask, follow the script, but once you see behind the curtain, there's no unseeing it. And don't forget, Val and Tom weren't just Top Gun co-stars, they were rivals, on screen and off. Word was there was tension, competition, ego, power plays. So while Cruise kept climbing higher, both in Hollywood and in the sky, Val started slipping into the shadows. And not because his talent faded, not because fans turned their backs, because something shifted, hard. And we can't ignore the fact that Val filmed everything. Way before smartphones, way before TikTok, this man was documenting his entire life. Almost like he knew. Someday people would need to see what really happened. Val had everything on tape. Childhood clips, behind-the-scenes moments, intimate pieces of his private life. Sure, he was an artist. But some say he was also sitting on evidence. And let's be real. Powerful people don't like it when the camera keeps rolling after someone yells, "Cut." Now here's where things get even more suspicious. Kilmer's fall from the spotlight just so happens to overlap with the early whispers of that island. You know the one. Linked to billionaire names, secret guest lists, and alleged ties to Hollywood's inner circle. An island that's been connected to a long list of people, and a long list of careers that suddenly went silent. Nobody's saying Kilmer was involved, not even close. But the timing? It's hard to ignore. And then there's the Mandela effect. Yes, that one. Some fans swear they remember hearing that Kilmer passed years ago. When Top Gun, Maverick dropped, people were convinced his appearance was a tribute, like they were watching a ghost. They claimed they remembered obituaries, headlines, tribute specials. But now, none of it exists. Like it was wiped clean. Nothing can be found. No proof it ever happened. Creepy doesn't even begin to cover it. And here's the weirdest part. After all that silence, all those missing years, Val Kilmer came back. Barely able to speak, battling cancer. And still, he showed up in Top Gun, Maverick. Just a few minutes on screen, but it hit hard. It wasn't just a cameo. It felt like a coded message. His character, like him, had lost his voice. Like him, was fading. And yet, there he was, standing next to Tom Cruise, saying more with his eyes than most actors say with a full monologue. That scene wasn't just emotional, it felt symbolic. Like Hollywood was finally forced to acknowledge him again, even if just for a heartbeat. But why now? Why let him back in after all those years of silence? Some fans think it was damage control, a quiet way to make peace without ever addressing what really happened. A pat on the back without admitting the stab wounds. Because make no mistake, Val Kilmer wasn't just forgotten. He was erased for years. And whether it was politics, secrets, or just refusing to play by the rules, the truth still feels buried. And maybe that's exactly how they wanted it. But some fans aren't buying the quiet comeback as closure. To them, it felt like Hollywood throwing Kilmer a bone. Just enough screen time to calm the noise, without ever owning up to what they really did to him. Because here's the thing, Val never stopped creating. Even when he couldn't speak, he was writing, directing, painting, filming, like a man trying to leave behind a trail before someone erased it completely. His art became his voice, his documentary, his proof. And buried in that footage, in those hours of home video and personal clips, you can feel it. Something happened. Something big. He never spells it out, but it's in the pauses, in the looks, in what he doesn't say. People close to him have hinted at it too, without saying too much. It's like there's this unspoken wall, and no one wants to be the one to break it. Not out of fear of Kilmer, but fear of what or who might be listening. And maybe that's why Val filmed everything. Maybe it wasn't just about memory. Maybe it was insurance, receipts. A quiet way to say, if something happens to me, the truth's still out there. And that truth? It's still hiding in plain sight. And the more you dig, the more the pieces start feeling like a puzzle no one was supposed to solve. Like Val Kilmer's story isn't just about one man fading from fame. It's about how fast Hollywood can turn its back when you stop following orders. Because let's be real, this wasn't some slow career decline. This was a shutdown, almost overnight. No major scandal, no public breakdown, just silence, like someone hit mute. And when he did speak again, in broken whispers, post-surgery, it wasn't with anger, it was with purpose. He never named names, never pointed fingers, but everything he did say, it pointed somewhere high up. And that's what keeps fans up at night. That uncomfortable thought. What if Val wasn't paranoid? What if he was right? Because too many actors have stories like his. Sudden career nosedives, unexplained blacklists, quiet comebacks with no explanation. It's a pattern, a playbook. But Kilmer? He documented it. He left us breadcrumbs, the tapes, the poetry, the performances, all saying the same thing without screaming it out loud. And maybe that's the scariest part. He told the truth without ever saying it directly. And most people still missed it. It's creepy. It's confusing. And it's sparking even more conspiracy talk. Some fans online are now claiming that Kilmer's comeback in Top Gun, Maverick, wasn't even real. They're saying it was a deepfake, or old footage filmed before a secret death that's only just being revealed now. Wild? Yeah. But online, the theories are spinning out of control. Then there's the money. At the time of his passing, Val Kilmer's reported net worth was just $10 million. Sounds like a lot, until you remember his films raked in over $3.7 billion worldwide. That gap doesn't make sense, unless you factor in the blacklisting, the lost roles, the medical bills. He poured millions into holistic treatments, private therapies, and soul-searching journeys across the world. Meanwhile, the same industry he helped carry, it stayed silent. No support, no spotlight, just silence. And here's the thing, nobody really noticed the full picture while he was alive. But Kilmer? He was playing chess, not checkers. Before he passed, He didn't just write a will. He allegedly built a financial fortress. A 3-layer setup, basically a legal trap, designed to protect every dollar meant for his kids. Word is, he made sure his ex, Joanne Wally, couldn't touch a single cent that wasn't hers. Val made sure the people he loved were protected, even if the world forgot about him. Mercedes and Jack, Val's kids, were at the center of it all. Word is, Val Kilmer made around $600 to $80 million over his 35-year career. That's top-tier money, plus some serious investment moves. But instead of passing it down the usual way, he wrapped the inheritance in layers. Conditions, traps, time delays. Rumor has it, the will straight up froze the full inheritance until his ex, Joanne Wally, turned 70. She's only 58 now. That's a 12-year timeout. And during that whole stretch, she's reportedly only allowed to get $50,000 a month. Now that sounds like cash, but let's keep it real. In Beverly Hills, that's brunch and a designer bag. Maybe. And here's the real kicker. By the time her timeout ends, the statute of limitations on alimony in California will be done. She can't circle back later with legal claims, nothing left to grab. Savage. But Val didn't stop there. Allegedly, he moved $23 million into Bitcoin. Encrypted, untouchable, split between Mercedes, Jack, and his lawyer. Locked down tighter than a celebrity's burner account. And then, right before his death, Kilmer posted a photo online of a Batman mask gifted by artist David Cho. No caption, no context, just the mask. Some say that Batman mask was Kilmer's way of saying goodbye. A quiet nod to the role he always regretted walking away from. Others believe it was deeper, a tribute to the days when he still had a voice. Both literally and in Hollywood. His daughter Mercedes confirmed the heartbreaking news. Val passed from pneumonia. But even that raised eyebrows. Because oddly enough, pneumonia keeps popping up as the cause of death when high-profile celebs pass away under strange circumstances. Online, people started connecting dots. Theories spun fast. How convenient pneumonia seems to be, especially for stars who've had beef with powerful circles. Look at Diddy. People have pointed out how many around him, like Kim Porter, died with the same explanation. It's just speculation, but it's out there. Val Kilmer's life was a roller coaster. Juilliard-trained, mega-talented, once standing at the top of the game, only to watch it all collapse. Not because of a scandal, not because the fans walked away, but maybe, just maybe, because he spoke out at the wrong time, to the wrong people. Now that he's gone, the internet is buzzing, trying to untangle a mystery that Hollywood seems desperate to leave in the dark. So what really happened to Val Kilmer? Was it ego? Illness? Or something far more chilling? One thing's for sure. His voice might be gone. But his story? It's just getting louder. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to stay in the loop with all the latest tea. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update, and I'll catch you in the next video.